5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. Time's up. Now, what I'd love is for all of you to throw some of the things you came up with. So tell me, what are some of the things you love about LinkedIn? Just throw your answers at me. Go. Sorry? Education. Finding jobs. Surely there's more than 2. Hey, finding candidates. Okay, what about Instagram? What are some things you came up with? There's something in that corner. Sorry? It's fun. What else? Stalking people. I like that one. No one does that. Social. Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you so much for doing that. Before I introduce myself, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land. I'd like to pay respects to their elders past, present, and future. And we acknowledge the land on which we're hosting tonight's incredible event. And so welcome, everybody. My name is Shil Shangavi, and I am thrilled to be your MC. I'm thrilled to host what I believe is Perth's the first one, LinkedIn versus Instagram, the very first one. How cool is that, right? Now, I have a confession to make. I've always found LinkedIn and Instagram pretty daunting. But before I tell you why, and before I tell you what we have in store for tonight, there's a couple of formalities which I'd like to run through. Bathrooms are located towards the back, and if you struggle to find them, please have a chat to Christian, to Mia, Gemma. Can you please put your hands up, guys? Where are you so people can find you? Well, there's only Gemma here. That's embarrassing. Or you can chat to me, and I'll show you where they are. In addition to that, if there's anything you would like help with, and we can help you, don't hesitate to reach out. Now, tonight is going to be a rather fluid event. And by that I mean, whilst we have an agenda and a structure which we'd like to work through, our 2 speakers have a rather spontaneous and dynamic personality, shall we say. Which means sometimes they get these creative hits, and if they do, they'll just go off tangent. And so if that happens, we're just going to let it go. Just going to go with the flow and see where the night takes us, because I think that just adds a bit more spice to it. Yeah. Now, tonight is the first stop of a national tour. And so before this event gets to the East Coast, before we hit the East Coast, we would love to show them how much value we've packed into this event. And we'd love to show them how much we rocked it in Perth. The first stop, we need to rock this. And by you guys being here, it's a start. But we need your help to create and generate more energy. So this is one of those events where we encourage all of you to pull out your phones. And with your phones, take photos, take videos, share your stories, like, tag, comment, post, do all those things, and share the love and tell people that you are here. Can you do that? I need a bit more of a response. Can you do that? Good. Excellent. And now, speaking of like, share, comment, tag, post, remember what I said about daunting experience? Do you remember that comment I made? Well, I've only been active on LinkedIn and Instagram for the last 12 months. And the reason is, I never knew how to really use the 2 platforms. And so for me, it was the big bad world of social media. I was unsure, I didn't know how to leverage them. And gradually over time, I started to post bit by bit. And as I posted, I would often ask myself questions like, where are the likes? Where are the comments? Where's the traction? Where's this exposure that I'm supposed to be getting? And there'd be plenty of times where I'd post something, and within seconds of that post going live, there was a seed of doubt in my mind where I'd think, take it off. Take that post off, because why would anybody want to engage with my content? And for a lot of other people out there, sadly, you need to deal with the critics, the haters, the trollers. Because unfortunately, that's just the world we live in. But we ignore those people. We ignore those people, right? Now, over time, as I built my confidence, I started posting more. I started sharing more content. And as I did, I watched my brand grow. I watched my business grow. And out of that, I realized the power that these two platforms have. And I learned a few things. I learned two things. That one, you need to treat these platforms with respect. Because if you respect these platforms, they will help you and your business in ways that you never thought was possible. But I also learned you need to make an effort. A consistent effort. Because unless you make an effort, you won't reap the rewards. And tonight, to tell us how to treat these platforms with respect, to tell us how your efforts can be channeled into intelligent and creative content, content that will get you exposure, content that will help you build a following, and content that will help you and your business grow. We have two of Australia's leading social media speakers, two powerhouse speakers at the top of their game on LinkedIn and on Instagram. Both of them have invested personally into tonight's event. And you know what? They're not going to give you a pitch. Instead, they're going to share their stories, they'll share content, they'll share loads of valuable information that every single person here can take away and apply to their businesses and their brands immediately. How does that sound? Pretty good, huh? So would you like to meet the speakers? Oh, come on. Would you like to meet the speakers? Now, a lot of you know who these speakers are, but for those of you who don't, our LinkedIn speaker is a guy I met 2 months ago. And I remember the first time I met him, I thought to myself, man, how much caffeine have you had? He would not stop talking. He just went on and on and on. So I had no choice but to listen to him. And you know what? The more I listened to him, I thought, holy shit. This guy really knows his stuff. And this guy really loves the stuff that he does. And it's a combination of the knowledge he has and the love he has for what he does that's made him so successful. But let me tell you something. His success has been a long and difficult journey. A journey which saw him in 2019 win the Social Media Award for the best use of LinkedIn. He's a keynote speaker. And get this. He has generated in excess of $400 million. And no, that wasn't a slip up. I'll repeat that number. $400 million in leads for his clients. It is a mind-boggling statistic. And then we have our Instagram speaker, a lady who I met a month ago. And the first time I met her, she was doing an interview, and she killed this interview. But after the interview was done, she looks down at herself. Then she looks up at everybody, and she says, guys, why didn't anybody tell me my pants were undone this whole interview? But she said it with a huge smile on her face, and that one moment perfectly sums up her personality. She's an international keynote speaker. She has built an Instagram empire that now spans 17 countries around the world. She's graced the cover of Small Business Australian magazines, and she's Perth's very own Instagram celebrity. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and make a shitload of noise for the king of LinkedIn, Nathanial Bibby, and the queen of Instagram, Brooke Valinovich.
Thank you.
Mic check.
I think mine's on.
Yours is on.
Hi!
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Now you've really got to make some noise. You're going to have to do better than that. I won't accept that. Make some noise,
yeah.
ladies and gentlemen.
That was so good.
And you guys down the back as well. I got my eyes on you. I can see you from here. Mate,
We're watching you.
we've got my eyes on you. Yeah.
Like the algorithm.
So, Brooke, would
Yes?
you like to tell everybody what we're going to go through tonight?
Oh my God, we've got so much in store for you tonight, guys. Thank you so much for coming. We're going to talk about the content that you need to share on the platforms, because there's this really big misconception that LinkedIn and Instagram are really different. And I'll be honest with you, when I first sort of started playing on LinkedIn, I was like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this. And then I met Nathaniel, and we started talking, and we kind of realized, you know what? If you can make a couple of tweaks and you're creating the content anyway, then you can make them work on both platforms.
Yeah, so I'm actually a member of Brooke's social club.
Woo! Thanks for joining. It'd be so awkward if you weren't.
I thought I'd get a discount or something.
Absolutely no discounts. I will not devalue myself.
Okay. No, it is a lot of value there.
You got to come to this for free.
Yeah, totally. I'm just about to give you a plug. To be honest, like, I didn't have high expectations of what I was going to learn in this social club, and to be honest,
When's the compliment coming?
So let me finish. I've only watched one webinar from your weekly. They're weekly, aren't they? Weekly webinars.
They are weekly.
I've only watched one webinar, and I've got enough value in that webinar to pay for the course for 2 years, I'd say.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
So what she's talking about, her 4 fucking phenomenal stories and some of the other strategies that I picked up, they actually work. Like if you do
They
them,
work.
your Instagram just goes boom and blows up. It's amazing. I couldn't believe how much engagement I got from doing those 4 fucking phenomenal stories.
Thank you. I know the shit I teach actually works.
Yeah,
it legitimately surprises
It was a lot of
people.
work though. Like I literally had to hashtag. What was the other one? The location tag.
That's not a lot of
I
work.
thought it was time consuming.
Welcome.
So one of the biggest mistakes I believe that anyone can make on social media is you can capture loads of attention, you can get heaps of followers and heaps of likes and heaps of comments and make no money, not be able to pay your rent. So we're going to make sure this is sustainable. The only way to do that is to generate return on investment, which Brooke does fantastic, and I also do fantastically.
Thank you kindly. I appreciate that. And guys, it doesn't have to be hard. This is the biggest thing about these platforms. What you have to do is actually relatively easy. You just have to do it, right? Trust me, if I can do it, you can do it. And I promise you, if you can provide the value, then you will get the results.
So I think, would it be helpful if we shared a little bit about our story and how we got started in social media? Hands up if you think that would be useful, guys. Okay, awesome. So if you don't mind, I'll start.
No. Anyway, I was born... No, I need to sit on that seat.
I prefer you to start, by the way.
No, I was kidding. You can start.
I was just being a gentleman.
But this suits my hair.
So where do I start? Okay, so I've been in Perth for a year now. And before that, I was based in Melbourne. And 8 years ago, I was just thinking about it. I was driving home after leaving my job, hadn't been paid in 3 months. I was looking at the fuel gauge on my car and I was thinking, when that runs out, I don't know how I'm going to fill it back up again. No job. Get home. There's an envelope on my doorstep with the words eviction notice across the front. Go inside, sit down, think, holy shit. And it starts to get dark and I go to flick on the light switch. No lights come on. Haven't paid the electricity bill. That was rock bottom for me in terms of not knowing like how I was going to survive. And so what I did that evening was I completely changed my life. I think sometimes in life you either need inspiration or you need desperation. In this case, I got desperation, and I hope that tonight, by sharing some of these stories with you, we can give you some inspiration. I went to the cupboard and I got 2 extension cables, plugged them together, ran them down the stairwell of my apartment building into a power socket that was in the common area. And I connected it to a desk lamp and sat in the living room of this empty, dark apartment and wrote my business plan. And the next day we made $15,000 in sales, and we haven't stopped growing since then. Like I decided to specialize in LinkedIn because it was where I was getting the best results in terms of leads. people, I mean, businesses, they just come, when you're marketing, they say come to you for leads, right? I could generate them leads more effectively on LinkedIn than I could anywhere else. So I thought, well, why should I do any other service? If they come to me and ask for Facebook advertising, I say, why do you want Facebook advertising? They say leads. I say, okay, well, come over to LinkedIn, you know. So that's my founder story, I guess. What's yours?
Well, mine is sort of in terms of car related too, sort of, not really. But I was pretty much down to my last $100. And I quit my job. I had heaps of savings, so I sort of thought, I'll be all right, I'll start this business. And it didn't really happen as I expected it to happen. I had $100 left in my bank account. That's it, $100. And I have a mortgage as well, so how was I going to pay for that? And I remember one of my girlfriends asked me to go and get our nails done together. And I was like, oh my God, I can't tell her I don't have any money, so I'll agree. Yep, okay, so that's like $60 on nails. And then she parked in one of the most expensive car parks in the fucking city. And I think I was like having heart palpitations because I was like, oh my God, this is going to cost us another $40. I'm not going to be able to tell her I don't have the money. We ended up paying for the parking, but that for me, like you talked about your rock bottom, that was my rock bottom. That's when I was like, I need to do something about this because A, I got a mortgage to pay and I've got no fucking money. And that's when I really, really changed what I was doing. I saw an opportunity to teach social media marketing in Perth because this was 3 years ago, just over 3 years ago now. And people were only offering it as a service. They were only offering to manage your accounts. People weren't offering to teach you how to do it yourself. And so I saw an opportunity to teach people how to do it. And then 3 years later, well, I'm still doing that, but it's gone pretty global. Yeah.
There's a theme here. Have you finished? Sorry, I didn't mean to.
The end.
The end. Very good. I love that story.
Thank you.
I heard that story after I interviewed Brooke for the new rules of Instagram. Did anyone come to that event by any chance? I know, no, some of you have. And we went to the pub afterwards, and Brooke just told me that story, and I was like, why the hell didn't you tell me that during the interview?
I don't know. Do you know what? Because I was like embarrassed.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing to be like, I've got no money and I don't know where my next paycheck's going to come from. That sucks.
Totally. And so we can teach you all of the hacks and the systems and the processes, and to be honest, if you follow them, you'll get the same results we did. It's not rocket science. Like, there's a lot of things in my life which I know have some grace attached to them, but this is not one of them. It's a system. Anyone could replicate it. I'm no different to anyone else in this room. It's just I followed a system and I took action. See, I think that what we're going to talk about, really comes down to making a decision. I think that you could learn all the hacks in the world, but unless you actually make a decision to do something and to do it consistently, nothing's going to change. And so it's really just a moment. Like, it's just a moment that's made, it doesn't take us. It's taken me 7 years to get my following, but it really happened in a moment. In that day when I made the decision to take action, that's really when, it started. And consistently, I've been growing, and you don't necessarily see the rewards or the results up front, and everyone goes, what are you doing that for? What are you doing that for? And you're like, well, I don't really, I don't have anything to answer to that. But after a year or two, you do. And then you go, okay, I can see now there's less competition, what I'm doing is effective, and then you get to a level where you get to a point where it's like, okay, hang on, this is a blue ocean. There is no competition. So you put your prices up, and all of a sudden your clients aren't meeting 2 or 3 providers, they're only meeting one because you're the expert, and that's an awesome place to be, because you're like, oh wow, I was right, You agree?
Yes.
Okay. You don't have to agree with everything.
There will be times. You spoke too soon.
So talk to us about confidence, Brooke.
On the platforms, something that I find really interesting is people come to me and they say, I want to be like you and you're so confident, but I wasn't 3 years ago. Confidence is something that comes over time. It absolutely comes over time. And it's really scary at the start to put yourself out there. But what you'll start to notice is when you do put yourself out there, when you share your story authentically, you'll start to attract people on the platforms that can relate to the story. And when they relate, they find what you're saying engaging, And then when you get that gratification of someone going, oh my God, I went through the same thing, you don't feel like such a loser, right?
Yeah, right, absolutely.
You're still a bit of a loser.
Yeah, well,
Just kidding.
winning. On Instagram I am.
Just kidding.
So, first topic, I guess, to talk about really is what are some of the big mistakes that people make. So let's assume, first of all, they are taking action. They're trying to get traction on Instagram or LinkedIn. What are some of the most popular mistakes?
For Instagram, the biggest mistake that people make is they just think about how they're going to sell to their followers. They just focus on, how am I going to sell? How should I stand up?
Oh, if you want.
Okay.
I'm just
I
versatile.
keep looking at my fly. I'm like, is it still done up? If it comes undone, tell me. So that's the biggest mistakes on Instagram. That's the number one thing that I see people do. And you've got to remember that Instagram is a platform to connect, and it's a platform to build a community. So if you can switch your mindset from how am I going to sell to these people to how am I going to connect with these people? How am I going to provide value? How am I going to help them? How am I going to serve them? And then how am I going to nurture that relationship? The sale will naturally follow, because they'll start understanding and seeing that basically you know your shit and you know what you're talking about. And then when they are looking to buy, you are the person that they think of. So you've got to elevate yourself to be that expert first, and then the sale will come.
One of the tips which I've been sharing recently with people is when you're posting content, I think it's helpful to imagine that you're just talking to one person.
Agreed.
If you ever catch up with like one person and you want to like make them like you, we all know what to do. You know, we build rapport, we talk about them, they're interested in themselves, not about us. Most people who are on social media are there to extract value out of the platform.
100%.
That's what they're there for. So you want to avoid being that person, right? If you're the person that is going to just dump value into the platform and not ask for anything in return, there's not many people doing that. And you'll find that people will want to follow you because you're giving so much value. It's a little bit like this event.
Totally.
I mean, we're not pitching anything, we just decided to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And Brooke said, well, why are we doing it? And I said, to add value. She goes, I'm in.
And I said, can you promise me that we're not going to be selling on stage? Because that feels yuck to me. That's not what I do on social media, and I don't want to now do it at an event as well. And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but have you ever been to a marketing event where you haven't been pitched to? I haven't. Have you?
No, and that's why we're famous.
Woo! But it is proof that it works. All I've done to grow my business is consistently provide value and then share the results of the customers that I've worked with, because I was really caught up in this idea that no one would listen to me because I actually dropped out of uni and I didn't have a degree. So I thought, I'll take the focus off me and just keep focusing on the results that my customers are getting, and then no one will notice me and hopefully not ask if I've got a degree. But I didn't realize at the time that sharing those results is in turn what grew the business and what continues to grow the business. So value plus results equals success. 100% every time.
Yeah, so it's about the audience, right? It's like LinkedIn versus Instagram. It's not really about LinkedIn versus Instagram at all. It's about where are your customers spending their time. And the average social media user at the moment has 5.5 accounts, right? So the chances are they're using both platforms. So you kind of ideally want to be on both. But you also want to look at where you're getting return on investment. So when I started LinkedIn marketing 7 or 8 years ago, there was only 200 people in the entire world that could post content on LinkedIn. I was not one of them. And so how did I manage to generate so many leads from LinkedIn? Well, on Instagram, you called it sliding into the DMs. Right?
Sliding.
Yeah.
Slippery sliding.
So on LinkedIn, we call that private messaging somebody, right?
Ooh. I feel like that's when we need a sound effect.
Was that a cheap shot?
Dum dum.
So
no, it was a money
who's in business to business? Show of hands, business to business. Anyone sell to businesses in the room? Is that all? Come on, there must be more than that. Business to business? Business to consumer? Wow. Not sure?
Whoever will take your money, I'll make you into a business just so I can sell to you.
Cool. Look, I think like LinkedIn's a huge opportunity for business to business. you can get in front of key decision makers within an organization. When I started my company, this is what, I don't know if you did this, Brooke, but when I started my company, I was set all these crazy goals. The first goal was, within 12 months, I'm going to sign up one of the big 4 banks, right? So on month 11, Westpac come on board as a client. And I had to message every single, not every single, but I would have messaged about 500 people in their marketing department to get them as a client. You'd be amazed how many people they have in their marketing department at Westpac. I didn't even scratch the surface, but they came on board as a client, and there's no way that I could have got in front of 500 people in their marketing department anywhere else.
That is a really cool thing about LinkedIn that obviously Instagram doesn't have. Your ability to stalk out whoever you need to connect to in the company and then just chase them around until they become a client, just like you did.
But a lot of people do that, right? A lot of people message people on LinkedIn, and you go in your inbox and it's just full of spam, right?
What's that one I sent you the other day?
With all the
that
emojis?
Was
No.
What did he call me? He called me some exotic name, and I sent it to Nathaniel, and I was like, what do I do with this? And a bunch of roses, 100 rose emojis.
Smooth.
Tell them the emoji thing.
Okay, so on Instagram, you use emojis, right?
Yes.
I think. I don't know.
Yes.
Do you or not?
Emojis are life.
So this is my view on LinkedIn and emojis, right? The more emojis you put into a LinkedIn message, the more desperate you are, the less money you'll make.
Yeah. And do you know what's so funny you say that? Because if someone sent me 100 rose emojis on Instagram, I'd be like, oh, what? Cute. Creepy, but cute. On LinkedIn, I was like, lol, desperate.
Totally. So.
And it wasn't my husband. I would just like to clarify.
I don't think your husband's on LinkedIn, is he?
No, he wouldn't even know how to use it.
So there's 2 things that you need to keep in mind when you're private messaging somebody on LinkedIn, and you can confirm whether or not it's the same on Instagram. One is you don't say anything about yourself. There's one thing that you can guarantee the other person's interested in, and that's themselves.
Yes.
You can't tell people something that they don't know that they already want to know.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
You can tell people what they already know or what they already know they want to know. Otherwise, it's all about them. So it's I hope you're well. I'm interested in learning about you. Can you talk to me about what your objectives are, what your business is, what your frustrations are? Let's have a phone call. They're like, what the hell does this guy do? They click on your profile and read the profile. That is an inbound activity. It's just one click, but they've asked for the information. You're not pushing it onto them. That's what everybody in your LinkedIn inbox that you consider spam is doing wrong. And if you got a message from one of my clients, you probably wouldn't even know that it was an automated, not systemized message, I should say, because we can send those to 100 that are all in the target market, and it wouldn't really seem like it was a
no rose emojis.
We don't send any.
Emojis.
I've had to coach people through this a lot of times. But if you start sending emojis, like you're trying, If you're trying, you look like a salesperson. Why?
That's a really good point. Yeah, you're absolutely right. See, on Instagram, I think it's definitely more social than LinkedIn. But if you can have a purpose to the DM, basically, if you've got a purpose that's about them, not about you, that's how you start that relationship, and that's how you foster that relationship, because it is still a business platform if you're using it for business. So you're not just going in to have a conversation and be like, hey, how's your day? Good, thanks. How's yours? It's weird, right? It's like a stranger in the street just saying, hey, how's your day? Okay, so you've still got to have a purpose.
Yeah. So I think people get lost in the platform, right? They spend so much time looking at the hacks and everything that they forget that what we're trying to achieve is relationships. So this is the key. So social media creates conversations. Conversations create relationships. So that's it. It's pretty straightforward. But if you don't do the conversations to relationship bit, you're not going to make any money, right?
Yeah, well, it would be like if you saw a man on the street and went, that one, and you just wanted to date him. That's what I did to Dom. But some people do that, but it doesn't really work that well. You've got to actually talk to them, have a conversation, make them realize you're not a total freak, and then you lock them in. Right?
Yes.
Is that your game plan?
That's my game plan. So I also think that it's one thing to capture attention, right? And a lot of marketers do this really well, but then they lose it and they just have to capture more attention.
Yeah.
Because the days of interrupting people are generally over. The old way of just throwing ads in front of people when they haven't asked for them doesn't really work because people are like looking at their phone or they're changing they're on Netflix or whatever. So what you want to do is build trust. So if you can capture attention, build trust, you won't lose it. Your attention will just grow, right? So trust is really important. So the question is, how do we build trust? Consistency, right? Talk to the audience about consistency while I get a drink of water.
Okay, bye. Thanks for coming. So, it's me now. It's all about Instagram now. So, trust and consistency, two huge things. The fastest and easiest way to build trust with your audience is by sharing your knowledge with them, because your knowledge is something that you can give for them for free. So depending on the industry, depending on what you're in, what information can you give them for free? That's the value exchange here. And if you do that consistently, without asking for anything in return, so you don't put up a post and you say, oh, this is all my value, then this is how you book with me, or this is how to buy the thing that I'm selling. You just say, this is my value, full stop. Then you let them make the decision, and that's how you build trust.
And it's very different to the old style of marketing, even online. Like conversion-based design on websites and so on is like you've got to have a call to action everywhere. But websites are not a social platform.
No.
A social platform, like in the old days, right? Social platform. Well, I say old days. I'm talking about like 20
years ago.
Yeah. Like when we were social, we used to go outside and like play with our friends in the garden. Or
Did we? Did we go play with our friends in the garden?
That's what used to happen.
I had no friends in the garden.
Yeah, I know about that. Yeah. But that's what being social is, right?
Yeah.
Like even in a business context, it's going to a networking function. It's very, very different to having like a sales call. Somebody finds your website, they already have a need established. On social media, there's no need established yet.
No.
You don't know whether they need your services. You don't know if they have the problem that you solve. And so if you start selling to them, it's not going to work. You need to just treat them like they're higher up on the customer journey. They're not even aware that they have the problem yet. And so you've got to be social with them and talk about the problem. If they identify with it, then they're moving down the customer journey.
And what did you say somewhere that I loved? And you said, if you can explain the problem, they will automatically assume that you have the solution. And it's so fucking true. Like if you can do mistake posts, like the 3 top mistakes that you're making in this, this, and this, oh my God, they go wild on Instagram to drive conversions.
But that is right, because people, if they have the problem, they're going to know about the problem. They're not going to know about the solution, otherwise they would have fucking solved the problem, right?
Yeah, so true.
So when you talk about mistakes and you talk about things that people do wrong or the 10 things not to do, you will get, on average, I reckon, 3 times more engagement.
100%. More. Even more. And you will get conversions of that naturally, because what people will do is they'll scroll, they'll read, they'll be like, oh my God, yes, I'm doing all of those things. This person must know what they're talking about, and they will naturally then come after you to try and find how they can work with you further or what they can buy off you. And you didn't even sell.
Okay, and this is the secret ingredient, right? The secret weapon to making content that converts is getting people to remember stuff, right? And they remember it here. So you have to become a storyteller. It's no good just to write articles with all these facts in them and statistics, because people are not going to remember it.
Yeah.
If you tell a story, they'll remember it. So you want to draw them in. And on Instagram, I think you do it visually, like you get the picture and then they read the story and then they remember it, right? Whereas on LinkedIn, it's completely different. Like, because we don't have the picture first, right?
Yeah, you've got to capture them with the words.
We got the words first.
We've got a picture.
Everyone thinks,
so good.
LinkedIn video is so powerful. I'm going to make this awesome LinkedIn video and then I'm going to post it and I'm going to get heaps of traction. You're not going to get shit if you don't do the caption right first, because that's what people see first. You've got to get the wording right. It's really important. And they only see the first 2 sentences and then you have to press read more. So what do you think the first 2 sentences have to say? They have to hook people, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, what is the big mistake, or what is the big question that people don't know the answer to? You don't want to ask them a question they know the answer to. You're trying to create a need. You're trying to create a problem. So you ask a question that they probably don't know the answer to. And then they recognize that there's a problem. Boom.
Boom. Yep. I agree.
That's what they call a value bomb.
Do they? Yeah. I mean, on Instagram, it's great because you do have the pictures. But I will say, if you want them to stop and read what you're saying, Instagram does truncate after the first couple of sentences. So remember at school you got told, like when you're writing an essay, you have the intro and then you have the like supporting sentence and it turns into this big film that has a big ending. You've got to completely reverse that. because you've got to get to the point straight away. Then if they liked your post, if they like your picture, if they like your video, and then they take the time to actually pause their scroll, because you know what it's like, you just scroll. But if there's a picture or video that captures your attention, you stop for a millisecond, and it's only that millisecond that you've got as a business to capture their attention for longer if what you've said in those first 2 sentences of your caption is of interest to them. And I guarantee you, if there's for sale, buy, $, anything like that, they're just going to keep on scrolling by. Are we sitting again?
Is this stuff valuable, guys? Good stuff.
Still done up.
So what type of content performs best on Instagram?
Firstly, it has to be clear imagery. I feel like such a broken record saying this. Clear images. And yet I still see fuzzy images. No fuzzy images. And you know what actually performs better than vertical posts? You know now you can make horizontal posts that are longer than a square. They perform better because there's more on the screen. There's more to see. So if you can share more of, I don't even know what you call them. They don't have a technical name. Bigger than square. I'm all about the technical words. But you know what I'm talking about, right? The bigger than square? Yeah, no, rectangle's lame. Bigger than square. So that's what I want you to think about. If there's an opportunity for you to crop an image to make it bigger than square, if I said rectangle, you won't remember it. You remember me saying bigger than square. Bigger than square, that will essentially perform better in terms of clarity of the content.
See, an image alone on LinkedIn is not going to work.
Yeah.
Like I've seen... Like if there are any of you guys that have tried it, I've seen what you're doing with the Instagram on LinkedIn thing. Like the image. Yeah, well, you do your Instagram post on LinkedIn.
Or directly share. Yep. Doesn't work.
And like it depends what kind of account you have on Instagram. Like on my Instagram, there's lots of quotes, right? Mm-hmm. They work on LinkedIn because like there's a message there, but you can't just put like a picture of my. Like I couldn't put a picture of my face, right, and expect people to like engage with it. It just won't work.
Why not?
It's just not that kind of platform.
Is it you?
No, it's not me.
Have you thought that?
I did put a picture
I hope
up.
not. Are you okay?
I put a picture up of Eminem.
Do you want to talk about it?
Oh.
Sorry, Eminem, go.
I put a picture of Eminem, he did it right. Uh-huh. There's got to, maybe this just because you need a story to it. So like on Instagram, I've seen like a lot of people put the picture up and the caption's got nothing to do with the picture.
Yeah.
There's no context.
Yeah, which is a huge mistake as well. And that's a really quick way to break trust with your audience. If you're using a picture that has nothing to do with the caption and people are like, what is this person doing? I feel violated. You've just captured my attention with an interesting picture and then wasted my time with the caption. Right? It's annoying. Unfollow.
I think you learn as well. Unfollow.
I'm so savage.
You need to. I think you learn as well what works on each platform, and the only way you learn is by doing. So it's so interesting. Like people don't post because they don't know what to do, but you learn what to do by posting, right?
Yeah.
And because everyone's audience is different. Like my audience is not going to resonate like the same as Brooke's audience is. Mm-hmm. No one knows my audience better than I do, and vice versa, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. And so you learn by posting more, and you learn on each platform what the different contextual things that you need to do are to get engagement. Because if you're making content that's like native to the platform, like you've literally done it specifically for your LinkedIn audience, they're going to engage with it. Like there's much higher chance because if no one does context anymore.
It's a matter of timing as well. You're not going to put a post, like open an account today, put a post up today and make a sale tomorrow. If that happened, you're welcome to leave. But has that happened to anybody here? No. I know you're like, I wish. How do I do that? It just doesn't work like that. Instagram is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And you do have to post consistently. But what makes it worth it is it's not a once-off transaction. When you get that sale off Instagram, they're invested in your brand. These are the people who will continue to support you. These are the people who will come back time and time again. These are the people who will tell all their friends and family and followers how great you are and how you have to follow them because they're invested. And that's what you want. You want a repeat customer. You don't want to be constantly looking for new customers.
Yeah. So people need to know what to expect, right? So it's like, if I come to your Instagram page and you post once every day and it's, it's this particular type of content and I follow you, that's what I want, right?
Totally.
And I want to know what to expect. People don't like surprises. They say they do, but they don't.
No, they don't.
And so if you keep switching up your content all the time, you're going to have to keep finding new followers. That's just the way it works. There's nothing wrong with doing it, but just be aware that you're going to have to find a new audience. So consistency builds trust, and it also means you don't have to find new attention all the time. Trust, because instantly trust attention.
Yep, absolutely. It's so true. And if you're unstuck and you're not seeing any movement, I challenge you to this. Provide value for 30 days. 30 days, every single day, provide value. Teach. Just give your information away for free, depending on what it is that you do, and I guarantee you after those 30 days, you will see a difference.
Amazing how many content creators that are out there, and I know there's lots of you in the room because so many people are doing it, that will post on whatever channel it is, and they've got like 2 comments, but they haven't responded to them. Like you really need to put more value on the people that have bothered to engage with your content.
Yeah.
Because unless you build a relationship with those people, they're not going to keep commenting. Like so why spend all this time trying to get more attention if you're not even going to look after them when they do come and engage with your content? So it's about valuing. Like the fact that they've bothered to spend time consuming it and then engage with you is a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. Like I know who some of my followers are from like 5-6 years ago. When I go to Melbourne, I'll go and buy, I'll take a couple of them out for lunch. They have never bought anything from me, but they're literally consuming my content for that long. That's a big deal.
And they are paying you because there is this concept of paying attention. So if someone's commenting on your post, they're paying you with their attention. And the way that you can reciprocate that, the least thing that you can do is respond. And I don't mean respond an emoji. I don't mean just like their comment. Say something back. Use it as the start of the conversation. Remember, Instagram loves, or the algorithm loves, engagement. So the more comments you get, the more you respond, and the more they can keep responding to you as well, the better reach that you're ultimately going to get. And I have a hot tip for you as well. If you have a question in your caption that you've asked your followers, and people comment, but they don't actually answer the question, thank them for the comment and repeat the question, because that's going to drive more engagement and that's going to drive more reach as well.
What do you think when people disagree with what you've said in your post? Like if people say, no, that's bullshit, I don't agree with you, what do you do with that?
No one said that to me just yet.
Really?
Hey? Yeah, I think Instagram's a little bit nicer. I mean, I've had trolls. I've had the nastiest things ever said to me. So I would just block and ignore them.
So what's a troll?
A troll is someone that basically just chases you around the internet with all their bad vibes. Says things like, you have the most annoying voice on the internet. How does anyone pay to listen to you? You look like a man. I mean, the man one really confused me.
So
what about you?
That's what they call antisocial behaviour, right?
Yeah.
It happens in the real world as well, but on the internet, you don't have any repercussions.
Yeah.
You can hide behind your keyboard and you can do that all day long. And to be honest, I think the statistic is that an antisocial person is 3 times more likely to engage on your content than somebody that's
so true. Because it gives them a false sense of power. There's a reason they're called keyboard warriors, right? Because I'm sure if you had them in front of you, they wouldn't say anything.
Haters.
This is fame, bro.
Yeah, yeah. I had somebody use my photograph on Instagram and set up an account and start ripping people off.
You did?
Yeah, and I texted Brooke, I'm like, what do I do? She's like, you're famous.
I said, this is fame. But it's so true. It's something that you just have to accept, and you've got to take it as a bit of a this person cares enough to insult me. I must be doing something right, because people will support you until you hit a point and then they'll start insulting you. But generally at that point, things are actually going quite well.
Yeah, totally. So, okay, that's interesting. So people that follow you have some sort of expectation and then they start to be nasty?
Oh, no. Random strangers on the internet.
Okay, cool. So I'm leaning into people that disagree with me as long as they don't do that insulting, rude thing that's not productive. So I quite appreciate it when somebody disagrees with me and shares their opinion in the comments, because it creates a much more interesting conversation.
It increases your reach as well. So if you want to go to town and just know, every time I reply to their comment, the algorithm is loving this because it's quality content and it's going to show it to more people. I mean, it's not the best way, but it's definitely a tactic.
Yeah. So there's a thin line between a debate and being rude to someone. And as long as you stay on the right side of that, and the other person, like half the time they won't, but that's okay. Block, you know.
Or just kill them with kindness.
Yeah.
Keep being nice.
Exactly. You know, so always, I think the way that I structure it is always say something nice first, and then I disagree with them, which is not nice. It's just a different opinion. We all got different opinions, otherwise the world would be an extremely boring place.